My friends, welcome to this episode of the Outdoor Gear Review. I hope you all are doing well. With fall being right around the corner, I wanted to put together a video detailing some very common and also popular heaters that are out on the market right now. The three heaters that I will be discussing and also comparing in this episode are the Mr. Buddy heater, the Kovea Cupid, and the NatureHike 3-in-1 heater. With these heaters, you can use them in countless ways. Inside of vehicles, off-grid cabins, even inside of large and also small tents. And yes, of course, you can use them for emergency purposes as well. Naturally, it goes without saying, when it comes to a product like this, safety is paramount. Anytime that you're burning fuel in an enclosed space, you do have to be careful. What I'm talking about is ventilation, and I'm also talking about the use of a CO monitor. That's common sense sort of stuff, so I'm not going to dwell too much on it, but I did want to throw that out there. With that being said though, you can easily use any of these heaters in enclosed spaces very safely, and if used properly, you'll never have an issue with using one of these products inside of an off-grid trailer, cabin, inside of a tent, or inside of your vehicle. With each of these systems here, I have been using them for a number of years, so I have a lot of experience under my belt with each of them. While each of these systems are similar in many ways, they're also different enough where they perform better in certain situations than each other. And I'll talk about all of that in just a moment. Please know that I have individual reviews for each of these products, where I go over every single detail, every single stat. I'm not going to go over everything in this episode. This episode is all about focusing on the performance of these heaters, where they perform the best at, and also where they don't. After watching this episode, if you have any questions about a product that you like, make sure to check out my review as you'll get all of the details there. To start off, let's take a look at the Mr. Heater Portable Buddy. That is the official name of this product, but everybody calls it the Mr. Buddy heater. As I've said many times, I love my buddy. This is, everyone, a fantastic heater. When it comes to heaters that this company offers, do know that there are many different versions. There's also two different versions of this heater here. This is the medium-size heater. There's also a large heater version that puts out more heat. With this heater here, it runs on one fuel type and one fuel type only, and that is propane. The other two heaters run on butane and butane only. You can connect fuel up to this heater in one of two ways. You can use 1-pound cylinders, or you can attach a filter, run a hose to it, run that hose to a 20-pound canister. As you can see here, I do have the filter attached, and I just leave it on there, even when I want to attach the 1-pound cylinders. This system was designed so that you can leave the filter on here if you want to. As you can see, this actually swings out to the side, so you can attach a 1-pound cylinder and it sticks off to the side. Or you could just run the hose up through the bottom, just like that. When it comes to the dimensions of this system, it stands 15 inches tall. It is 14.2 inches wide, and it has a depth of roughly 9 inches. With this heater, there are two settings. You have a low mode and you have a high mode. On the low mode, 4,000 BTUs. On high, 9,000 BTUs. Concerning appearances, you could find this in two different colors, red and green. Since we talked about the BTUs of this heater, let's go ahead and let's talk about fuel efficiency. With a 1-pound cylinder, this will run on low for 6 hours. It will run on high for 3 hours. With a 20-pound tank, a hose, and a filter, the run times are exceptional. You can do the math. As far as the safety systems go for this heater, there are two in place, a low oxygen sensor and a knock-over sensor. If you're using the heater in an enclosed space and it detects a low oxygen level, it will shut off. If you knock this over, it will shut off. To wrap up talking about the Heater Buddy for now, we will come back to it, let's go over price. At the time of filming on Amazon, the red color is $70. The green color is $103. With the little Cupid heater, this is, as you all could see, a very different style of heater compared to the Mr. Heater Buddy. As far as different versions go for this heater, there aren't any. There are only some revisions of this heater. There's a newer version and an older version. This is the older version. The only difference between these versions is the way that the fuel canister connects to the heater. With this old version, you take the fuel canister, you slide it through, you have this window here, you align everything and you twist to tighten it. That locks it into place. With the new version, there's a magnet that basically pulls the canister into place and then holds it into place. Concerning the fuel type, As I mentioned before, this runs on butane and butane only. As far as the dimensions go, this is 10.3 inches wide, it stands 7 inches tall, and it has a depth of 5.3 inches. Concerning the BTU output, this information has never been publicly released by the company. It is estimated that it's around 3,500, and I do tend to believe that. It's got to be right around 3,000 to 4,000 BTUs when you compare this to the performance on low of the Heater Buddy, or even the performance of the NatureHike heater. Talking about the efficiency of the Cupid heater here, this will run on low for 4 hours. It will run for 2 hours on high with a full canister. When it comes to the safety systems that are built in, this one has knock-over protection, and that's it. And that takes us over to the final point for now, price. The price at the time of filming is $85 for the Cupid. Now everyone, we are looking at the NatureHike 3-in-1 heater. This product is very different than the other two, and we'll talk more about that in just a minute. For now, let's just focus on the stats. As far as versions go, NatureHike only has one version of this heater, and you're looking at it. A green version and also a light khaki color. It's almost white. Almost. Something I should mention here with the NatureHike heater is that there's other companies out on the market that have products that are very similar, if not identical. One such company is Black Dog. They have a version of this heater that is similar, but yet different. As far as I know, this company has no connection in regards to NatureHike, but funnily enough, on Amazon, they actually call this heater the NatureHike Black Dog. Basically, they're trying to capitalize on the popularity of the NatureHike heater by including NatureHike in the title of their listing. That heater, the Black Dog, it is similar but yet different, and it does not have good reviews on Amazon, if you can even believe them. One of those reviews I do believe is legit. The reason why I think that is this. They actually mentioned me and my channel by name in the review. The thing is, they disagree with my review. They say that the product does not perform the way that I said that it did, and they were upset about that. The thing is this, they purchased a heater from a different company that has a different design. So yes, the way that it performs is going to be different. Because the Black Dog heater features sealed off sides, the heat does not radiate from the sides like this one does here. And they were upset about that. I'm not sure how some people make it as far in life as they do. Some people need a lot of help. Anyways, focusing back on this heater here. This runs on butane and butane only. And there is the fuel port. Basically, with this heater here, you take the canister, you slide it in, align everything, and there's a magnet, like I spoke about with the new version of the Cupid, that pulls the canister and locks it into place. Concerning the dimensions, this stands 7.6 inches tall, it is 7.3 inches wide, and it has a depth of 6.5 inches. The max performance from this heater is 3,753 BTUs, and of course you can dial that back. Concerning the efficiency of this heater, on high you're looking to 3 to 4 hours of runtime. On low, I've been able to run this heater for 8 hours straight, which is very, very impressive. With this heater having a similar output as the Cupid, you may be wondering why the run times are so different. With the NatureHike heater, you can dial that back to an extremely low level, where it still puts out quite a bit of heat, a low level that you cannot achieve with the Cupid. Because of that, you really can't extend the runtime with this heater. Concerning safety systems, as far as I know, there are none with the NatureHike heater, so be especially careful. Lastly, as far as price goes, at the time of filming, this runs $70. Now that we have the stats out of the way, let's talk about how you should plan to use these heaters. As I mentioned before, these are very, very different systems. When it comes to the Heater Buddy, this thing is large and it's powerful, and it's designed for larger spaces. I'm talking about off-grid cabins. I'm talking about extremely large tents that are larger than 4 person. And I'm also talking about large spaces like the back of a truck bed that features a camper top on it. For spaces smaller than what I've mentioned, the Buddy heater is just simply too powerful. Even on low, it puts out way too much heat for smaller spaces like that. And that's where these really do come into their own. That's what separates these products here. Allow me to give you all an example of what I'm talking about here. So let's say that you want to use this in a tent that is smaller than 4 person. It's cold out. You go to fire up your heater, you get nice and warm. But all of a sudden, you're too hot, so you turn it off. because you can't dial it back anymore. Then you get cold, you fire it up, you get hot, you turn it off, and repeat. This makes getting any sort of rest almost impossible, so do keep that in mind. When it comes to actually cooking and heating on this heater, it's possible. You can take a cup with the handle standing up and you can put it on top, and there's enough heat that will radiate upwards to warm up a cup of coffee. That is certainly possible, but no, you cannot cook on this heater as is. I have seen some funky contraptions being wired onto it. You could do that if you want to, but I prefer not to, right? This is not a stove by any means. This is a heater through and through. And that is certainly true with the Kovea Cupid. It is a heater, it is not a stove. In fact, you really can't heat up anything on top of this. It just doesn't work. This little heater shines in smaller spaces. Let's say like an SUV, or like a 2-person, 3-person tent, something like that. You can even use this in larger spaces as long as it's not too cold out. For an example, I will oftentimes use this in my off-grid camper, and it does a great job of warming things up. But let's say that's good down to like 40 to 30 degrees, something like that. Once you go below that, this does not put out enough heat to keep you warm. Or I should say, it doesn't put out enough heat to warm up that space. So again, this is for smaller spaces. And that's certainly true with the NatureHike heater. But with that being said, the NatureHike heater is so much more than the Kovea. This is a heater. At the same time, it's a stove. That's right, folks. This was designed not only to put out heat, but additionally, you can actually cook on this. With the NatureHike heater, you have a very large flat top that allows you to put pans, cups, and pots on there so that you can cook. I will say this, if you plan to do some cooking on this, there's a tray that attaches to the front. Make sure to attach the tray and then put a piece of tin foil in front of the heater itself. That way, all of the heat is directed towards the top, which is the bottom of your pot or pan. That will give you the best performance when cooking and heating up water or whatever with this heater. With the Mr. Heater, it's a fantastic heater. With the Cupid, it's a fantastic heater. With the NatureHike, it's a fantastic heater. As far as it being a stove goes, it's good enough to get the job done. But if you plan to do serious cooking, right, this is certainly not going to replace a dedicated stove. Because of that, it's my advice that you look at this as a heater first and a way to warm up things second. Again, this is not going to replace a dedicated stove by any means, but in a pinch, you certainly can do it. I've done it, and it does work well. With that being said, I should mention this. The way that these heaters release heat is different. So with the Heater Buddy, it releases the heat from the front and it also radiates up. The same is true with the Kovea. When it comes to the NatureHike, it does things differently. Heat radiates from the front. It also radiates up, but it also radiates out from the sides. You can see here you have this window. On the other side, you have a window. These windows do allow a good amount of heat to radiate from the sides of this. This can be a benefit or it could be a problem depending on how you plan to use this. So let's say that you're using this inside of your vehicle. You do have to keep in mind that heat will radiate from the sides. So you don't want to have this up against a wall with heat radiating against it. That is not an issue that you will have to consider when it comes to these two heaters. Now, of course, that may not be a con. That may be exactly what you want. But then again, it could cause some issues, so do keep this feature in mind. Now that I've gone over just about everything that you need to know about these heaters, the stats, what they're good at, what they're not good at, let me answer this question that you may have. Which one do I recommend? Because we have 3 different options here, you may be confused or conflicted. In my opinion, one of these heaters is not enough to cover all of your bases. You will need 2. Larger spaces, more heat output. Smaller spaces, lower heat output. With that being said, a Heater Buddy is a must. This is a must for larger spaces, larger tents, and so on. Then it comes down to one of these 2. And that's where your specific needs will come into play. You need to think about what you want to do with your heater, where you are going to put it. This one here, the Kovea, it really works well in small spaces like a car. With the NatureHike heater, it requires special care. Again, because you have heat that radiates out on the sides. That is not the case with the Kovea, and plain and simple, it's safer and easier to use in a vehicle. But if you don't plan to use one of these heaters in a vehicle, This gives you a lot of options. This features a longer run time. You can dial back the heat output even more so than the Cupid. The heat radiates from 4 directions, 1, 2, 3, and 4. All of that you need to consider when it comes to purchasing one or the other. You may want to purchase all 3. All 3 gives you a ton of versatility as far as your camping trips go. This I certainly see with my adventures, and because of that, I am glad to have all 3. I am holding on to all 3, and I'm glad that I purchased all 3. These are fantastic heaters. Heaters that I've continued to use year after year after year. And now that it's beginning to cool down here in the mountains already, I've been getting out with these heaters. Specifically, the Cupid. Just the other day, I got out for a trip with this. Lows in the 40s, up on top of a mountain, very windy. I stayed super comfortable out on that trip. That was a fantastic adventure. I had a ton of fun on that trip, and I stayed nice and warm and comfortable, all because of this heater. And with that being said, folks, I am done. Make sure to comment down below and share your thoughts. What do you all think about each of these options? Which ones or which one do you find interesting? As I mentioned at the beginning of this episode, make sure to check out the dedicated reviews that I have for each of these products as I go over the pros and cons, information that you need to know. In the description box down below, you will find links to those review videos, so if you find one of these interesting, you can get more information there. With that being said, folks, I am done. Everybody, take care, be well, strength and honor. Thank you so much for watching. See ya.